At this point, the key legal principle is very simple. In UK law, a member of the public is under no general obligation to explain their lawful activity to another civilian or even to authorities unless a specific legal power is engaged. There is no requirement to justify what you're doing in a public place if it is not illegal. The phrase need-to-know basis might sound evasive, but legally, it is entirely valid in this context. What matters is whether the activity itself is unlawful, not whether others understand it. This is where many encounters go wrong. People confuse curiosity or suspicion with legal authority. Unless there is reasonable suspicion of a specific offense, there is no duty to answer questions. The auditor here is asserting a fundamental right, the right to remain private while acting within the law. That's not obstruction, and it's not suspicious in itself. It's protected conduct in a public space.
What are you doing?
I'm just collecting readings.
For what?
Sorry?
For what purpose?
Oh, it's just on a need-to-know basis.
Well, we need to know if you're in our...
No, I don't want to come in.
Okay. Have you got any paperwork with you? Do you have any paperwork to show us?
Sorry?
Have you got any paperwork with the ID with you?
No.
Then I'm going to have to ask you to leave the entrance of the building.
Oh, no, I can't do that.
Well, I need to see some form of identity then to say why you're here and what you're doing.
I'd just like to remain private, if that's okay.
Well, no, it isn't. If you're on our property...
This moment touches on a cornerstone of UK public law, the right to access and use public spaces without interference, provided no laws are being broken. Saying it's a public street is not just a casual remark, it's a legal position. Public spaces are exactly that, open to all, without the need to justify presence or activity. There is no offense of making people uncomfortable or acting unusually. For police or any authority to intervene lawfully, they must rely on specific statutory powers, such as suspicion under the Police and Criminal Evidence Act 1984 or antisocial behavior legislation. None of that is triggered simply by someone standing and measuring. This is where proportionality comes in. The law does not support intervention based on vague concern alone. So this assertion reinforces that legality is determined by statute, not by public perception or misunderstanding.
What company do you work with?
Just on a need-to-know basis. I don't want to come in.
No, but I don't want you to stand there either, unless you tell me what you're going to do.
When police arrive, everything changes legally, but only if they invoke a specific power. An officer asking, "What's the problem?" or "What are you doing?" is engaging voluntarily unless they clearly state a legal basis, such as stop and search under Section 1 pace. Without that, the interaction remains consensual. The officer here suggests a need to know what the object is, but needing to know is not a legal threshold. The correct standard is reasonable suspicion of an offense or possession of a prohibited item. If the object is not obviously illegal and there is no behavior indicating criminal intent, the officer cannot compel answers. This is where procedural clarity matters. Officers must articulate their grounds and the legal power they are relying on. Without that, the citizen remains within their rights to decline detailed explanations. Point 140.
Hello, how are you? Have you come for me?
I have, yeah.
What seems to be the problem?
I got a report from the job centre saying that you've been stood in the porch with some sort of handheld device. Just
Yeah.
what it is, that's all.
Oh well, like I told them, it's just on a need-to-know basis. It's not an offensive weapon or anything.
What actually is it? You don't mind me asking?
It's just on a need-to-know basis.
Well, I do need to know at the moment.
Well, you don't.
If you don't mind telling me what
It's
it is.
not illegal.
So why wouldn't you tell me what it is then?
Here we see a crucial turning point. The officer openly acknowledges uncertainty about whether the activity is legal. That admission is significant. In UK policing, the burden is not on the citizen to prove legality. It's on the officer to justify interference. If an officer does not know whether something is unlawful, they cannot escalate enforcement action. The legal standard requires reasonable grounds for suspicion, not a lack of understanding. This is where professional judgment should step in. The correct approach would be to assess risk, consider whether any offense is apparent, and if not, disengage. Continuing to question without legal footing risks crossing into unlawful interference. Policing is not about resolving curiosity. It's about enforcing clearly defined laws. This moment shows the gap between suspicion and lawful authority.
You know, it's like scanning.
Right, okay.
I'd have been well gone if I heard him say we're going to ring the police, right? But because they said that, I've hung about.
Okay.
But now I need them to know that whatever I'm doing here is perfectly legal, you know.
Right, okay, well that's fine. I can't tell them, because I don't know either, do I? So I can't say what it is that you're doing.
Well, you don't know what I'm doing is legal?
No, I don't know what it is that you're doing. You're saying that you're
No,
measuring.
if I'm measuring, right, you're allowed.
This final segment demonstrates proper de-escalation and is actually the correct legal outcome. Once the officer is satisfied that there is no threat, no prohibited item, and no offense being committed, the only lawful course of action is to disengage. Importantly, the citizen was never under any obligation to provide extensive details, yet partial cooperation helped bring the encounter to a close. This highlights a practical reality. While you don't have to explain yourself, doing so can sometimes speed things up. However, the key legal takeaway is that the officer did not identify any grounds for detention, search, or arrest. That confirms the activity was lawful all along. This is exactly how such encounters should end, with the recognition that lawful behavior in public space does not require permission, approval, or explanation.
So I'll just make a point of carry on measuring for 5 minutes just to let them know that there's no one towards here. But the purpose of showing you them was to put you at ease that look, you know, I just don't want to, I like to keep my business private, you know.
Fair enough, but I'm sure you can appreciate we've had a call, so we have to...
Yeah, and that's why I'm not giving you no time or anything, yeah, just basically, I thought to myself, oh, they're going to waste police time for a man with a measuring stick, you know.
No, that's absolutely fine.
I get it with my wheel, believe it or not, you know the wheel.
Yeah.
I get it with that. I get it with all sorts, you know.
No, that's no problem, fine.
Alright, but